demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call today. Let us move on to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined the class this morning?
Hare Krishna, Padma Sakhi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Priti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Priti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvindaksh Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvindaksh Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Sakhi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the session every day, Mataji. Very good to see you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Sakhi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. This is Aditi Devi Dasi from Canada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Sakhi Mataji. This is Sukakar Krishna from Chennai. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to the Gurudevs and all the Gurus, to all the devotees over there. Happy Guru Purnima today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for joining. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Sakhi Mataji. This is Shamlila from Mysore, India. All glories to Srila Gurudeva. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees and all glories unto you for organizing such a great job you have taken, Mataji, taken up. So I wish that you progress very well in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna, Shamlila Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, always to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your encouraging and kind words, Mataji. And thank you for joining the call. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Happy Guru Purnima.
Happy Guru Purnima, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Padma Sakhi Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidas from Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, this is Balavrinda.
Hare Krishna, Balavrinda. I was hearing your chanting. Thank you so much. It's very encouraging.
Yeah, good job, Balavrinda. You are waking up early and chanting.
Yes,
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Padma Sakhi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shama Gauri Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Sham Gauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Padmasaki Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, we were missing you, Mataji.
I was missing all of you then. You are missing me, Mataji. I missed so much. I'm happy that I'm back. Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Padmasaki Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees on the call. This is Anita from Sharjah. Nice to see you, Mataji, after a long time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Anita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day from Sharjah. Very inspiring. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Padmasaki Mataji, please accept all glories
Mataji.
to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru and Gauranga, all glories to assembled devotees. This is Pooja Arora from Haridwar. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Pooja Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Padmasaki Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Brinda, so happy to see you back.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Gopika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat. This is Radharani Devi Dasi from Gurugram, India. A nice group. I joined it through one Amrin Prabhu class.
Hare Krishna Radharani Mataji, very beautiful name. Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call, Mataji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Valli from Naperville, Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Valli Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna Shushmita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Padmasaki Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karna Devi Dasi from Lincoln. So happy to see you back, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Indulekha Karna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Looks like you're not well, Mataji. Please take care. Thank you so much for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. My name is Prahladanand from Las Vegas. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. It's
Hare
very
Krishna.
early for you, but you joined. Hare Krishna. I welcome you all once again to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam from verse number 6.1.22. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time and association to all of us this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. Before I hand over the call to Prabhuji, I request Aditi Mataji for brief introduction of Prabhuji, and also I would request Indulekha Karuna Mataji to please read the verse.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is a brief introduction for His Grace Keshavanand Prabhuji. Keshavanand Prabhuji was a professional doctor prior to becoming a full-time practicing monk. For the past 20 years, he has conducted extensive research and authored books in the field of science and spirituality. He feels the rift between science and spirituality must disappear to bring peace in the world. Keshavanand Prabhu has studied both Vedic and Western philosophy. Besides learning Sanskrit, he also learned Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, and Kannada to know about other traditions. His persistent endeavor in the field of science and spirituality has enabled him to come up with seminars on diverse topics like science and the Vedas, mind and machines, science falls to explain life, consciousness and beyond, etc., that he has presented in various colleges in India, Europe, and America. Under the guidance of his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami, he has also started a Gurukul, a traditional system of Vedic education in Punjab, India, where children learn the ancient Vedic culture and values. He has also started a farm community that follows a traditional way of living with mud huts, thatched roofs, and cows, and of course, farming. The communities will set a model for the world to show how to live a life based on the principle of simple living, high thinking. Over to you, Mataji. Thank you.
Mataji, Induleka Karna Mataji, can you read the verse?
Yes, Mataji. I was just looking for Prabhuji. If Prabhuji is on the call and he's not here yet.
Say yes, Mataji.
So
we can continue chanting.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Mataji, I think Prabhuji joined.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Should we start the recording? Hare Krishna, Keshavanand Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time and association to all of us this morning, Prabhuji. Induleka Karna Mataji, can you read the verse for Prabhuji?
Okay, yes, we can. Okay. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 22. Hare Krishna, Keshavanand Prabhuji. I'm not sure if you're able to hear us, but we are going to start reading the shloka. I hope this is okay.
Yes, fine, please read it.
Okay, thank you. Bandhyakshaikaitavaischauryai garhitam vrittimastita bibrat kutumbamasuchir yatayam ashadehina. Translation. This fallen Brahmana, Ajamil, gave trouble to others by arresting them, by cheating them in gambling, or by directly plundering them. This was the way he earned his livelihood and maintained his wife and children. Purport. This verse indicates how degraded one becomes simply by indulging in illicit sex with a prostitute. Illicit sex is not possible with a chaste or aristocratic woman, but only with unchaste Shudras. The more society allows prostitution and illicit sex, the more impetus it gives to cheaters, thieves, plunderers, drunkards, and gamblers. Therefore, we first advise all the disciples in our Krishna consciousness movement to avoid illicit sex, which is the beginning of all abominable life, and which is followed by meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. one after another. Of course, restraint is very difficult, but it is quite possible if one fully surrenders to Krishna, since all these abominable habits gradually become distasteful for a Krishna conscious person. If illicit sex is allowed to increase in a society, however, the entire society will be condemned, for it will be full of rogues, thieves, cheaters, and so forth. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
You can hear me?
Yes,
You
Prabhuji.
can hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, can you please hold on? Okay, so yeah. So fine, my voice is audible, Mataji. Is it clear? No? Clear enough?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. So this is the verse, 6th canto, 1st chapter, 22nd verse. To read them. It is Bandi Akshay Kaitavis Chaturve Garitam Vrittamasita Vibrat Kutumbam Ashuchir Yatayam Asatena. I'll just read the translation. This fallen Brahman Ajamel gave troubles to others by arresting them, by cheating them in gambling, by directly plundering them. This was the way he earned his livelihood and maintained his wife and children. Okay. Om Jnana Dasya Jnana Shalak. Chakshun Litamena Tasmai Shri Guru Vishnu Vadaya Krishna. Ram Namaste Gaurvani. So, the point here is that the Ajamil, he was, as you might have been reading, Ajamil was a very good Brahmana. He was quite an ideal person, as we read from Bhagavatam. He was a good-natured man. Right from early childhood, he was practicing devotional service. His father was a good devotee in Brahmana. But somehow he got involved in illicit sex. He went to a forest. There he saw something, a hunter and a prostitute. And he got mad. Somehow he brought that prostitute in his home. That was quite a drastic step, because I mean to say, I was thinking, I don't know if you remember this story or not, but this story is quite funny, because Ajamil, being a devotee, and he goes to a forest to collect wood, and there he saw a hunter and a prostitute acting immorally and immodestly, and they were in a sexual act, and he got mad, and then he brought that prostitute to his home. And not only brought the prostitute to his home, he actually left his wife. He left his wife, and then he also he got the prostitute, and then some children were born of his prostitute. Now, very interesting thing is, can you please? So, password please. So the point was that he brought that prostitute to his home. Now, the point is, how can anybody like bring a prostitute to his home? He just saw something, but nobody does like that, because I mean to say, so many people see so many things. Even now, presently, many people see some stupid stuff on internet, or they're doing some. Nowadays, everybody's, at least materialistic people, they're involved in illicit sex, but don't bring that woman in the home and give and actually leave their life. It might be happening nowadays. It's not surprising, but at that time, it's very surprising. So how did Jamil's mind get so contaminated that he got really puzzled? Now, this was a question I was thinking, and I found that Jiva Goswami gives an answer to this. Why did he take such a drastic step? Although he was a devotee right from childhood. I mean to say, he would have seen that thing, and later he would have come home. Ideally, it should happen. It should have happened like that. He would have controlled himself and then come home, and then he would have felt guilty, and then he would have done some penance, and things would have become okay. It didn't happen like that. So Jiva Goswami says that in the last life, there was some offenses from the last life which he was carrying, and this was bound to happen. The point was, Ajamil in the last life, he was a rishi, and he was standing on the bank of the river, and he saw Parashar Muni with Satyavati. I think she was Satyavati. Parashar Muni, right. Satyavati. So he saw. So Parashar Muni also came on the bank of the river, and he asked that boat woman that he should help to cross the river, and that boat woman, her name was Satyavati, and I think her name was Satyavati. I forgot. I don't know what was.
Actually, before it was Matsyagandhi, Prabhuji. So later, when she got that Sugandha smell, she asked for that boon to take away her fish smell from her body. So before her name was Matsyagandhi.
Okay, and then afterwards it became Satyavati.
Okay. Yeah.
So her name was Matsyagandha, and she was like. Actually, that was also arrangement of God. She was Matsyagandha. She was very beautiful, but her body smelled like fish smell, a bad odor, and because of that, nobody was marrying her. So that was also Krishna's arrangement. Nobody marries her, and nobody was attracted towards her because of this fetish and fishy odor. So her chastity was maintained in that sense. How Krishna works. I mean, Mahabharata is very interesting. How Krishna works and how he plans. The destiny of Matsyagandha was to become mother of Vyasadev, and she had to remain a pure woman, a chaste woman, and Krishna arranged for that. He arranged for that. So he asked Matsyagandha to let the river cross on the boat, and she took. And in the middle of the river, Parashar said to Matsyagandha, "See, the point is, a great soul has to now manifest on the earth, and you should be the means. You will be the mother. That's your destiny." And in the middle of the river, he actually asked Matsyagandha for a favor, that a child should be born. Now, what was happening was another rishi was standing on the river. He was seeing everything. He was seeing what Parashar Muni is doing with this female, and I mean to say, of course, he couldn't hear what he's talking, but from far away he could see Parashar Muni embracing this Matsyagandha, and he thought Parashar Muni is out. He's fallen. He just assumed he's out. Now, this is another lesson. We should not assume anything until unless we are confirmed. Otherwise, it leads to a lot of Vaishnava offenses. That is one lesson from this small story. Parashar and Matsyagandha. He just assumed there's something wrong, and of course, I mean to say, if you assume something about us, about devotees like us, they'll not be much offense. you can just think of any crap about us. And your devotion will be okay because we are not devotees. But if you think something about Parashar Muni, who is a manifestation of God himself, who wrote Vishnu Puran, Parashar Muni, he's famous author of Vishnu Puran. And there are so many shlokas Prabhupada quotes from Vishnu Puran. One of our whole theology that Krishna is supreme, many of the verses comes from Vishnu Puran. Now he saw Parashar Muni, he thought he's fallen, and that was an offense he did. And due to that offense, due to being his rishi, he was born in the next life as a very good Brahman, as a Jamil. But because this offense, the seed of offense was there, the reaction had to manifest. And the same thing happened here. You see, the same thing is happening. In the next birth as a Jamil, he saw a hunter and a prostitute in the same act. Like in previous life, he saw Parashar Muni and that Matsyagandha. But because he had done offense, his mind got really screwed up. His mind was completely bewildered. He couldn't control himself. He couldn't control himself to the extent he brought that prostitute in his home. Now, this is another lesson here that sometimes because of offenses in the previous life, our devotion is blocked, or we might fall down in spite of doing very nice devotion. So you might think, well, I'm doing such a nice devotion. I mean, you might think I'm okay, I'm doing devotion nicely, all rules and regulations properly, sadhana also very nicely. Everything is going on nice, but suddenly something happens and we fall down into grave mortal sins, grave sins. How does it happen? One of the reason is offenses from previous life. It might not be from this life. From previous life. Some devotees, in spite of doing so much devotion, they can't advance properly. They can't advance properly. It happens due to offenses in previous life. And also sometimes the offenses are so grave that devotees have to experience death because these kind of Vaishnava offenses to great souls like Parashar Muni, they can only be liquefied through death. But anyway, in his case, his whole life's devotion got spoiled. That was the result of an offense, and it was not an offense, just he spoke something or he did something. He just thought bad about Parashar. So he brought that prostitute back. Now what happens is, when he brought the prostitute back to his home, this text 22, it is explaining what he was doing. He brought that prostitute and he just threw his wife out. He was so enamored by that prostitute and seduced by that prostitute. He I don't know, he kept her, and there were children born from her. And what happened was, because there were children, and this prostitute, of course, he was from Brahmanic community. This prostitute was from Shudra community, and Prabhupada mentions about unchaste Shudras. This prostitute was from low caste. Obviously, her mentality was of low mentality, and she changed the mind of a Jamil. This is another very important lesson. In Hindi, we say "Jaisa sang vaisa rang." You know what I'm saying. A man is known by the company he keeps. Now by that prostitute's association, he got contaminated and he actually started doing all kind of nonsense things. It is said, see, the point is, association with bad people is not wrong. I mean to say it's wrong in one sense. We don't associate with bad people. But association with bad people, and more so when you are attached to them, you're out. You're out. We associate with bad people in preaching always. There are so many kinds of people we associate and we preach to them, but it doesn't affect our heart. But if you do association with attachment, then their bad qualities will transfer to you. By the way, the definition of association by Vishwa Chakravarti Thakur is not that when you talk to somebody and when you sit with somebody you're associating. It's not like, that's not association. Association means when there is an exchange of ideas. An exchange of ideas happen when you are attached to a person. Exchange of ideas happen when you respect somebody and to a certain extent, and if you're attached to somebody, you just absorb those ideas. And that is why it is said, Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasha Jayate. If you are attached to our parampara, to our acharyas, to Srila Prabhupada, then all whatever they say, your soul will imbibe every statement of theirs. So that is called association, and that is why Narottam Das Thakur advises us to become attached to our sampradaya. You have to become, and how to become attached to sampradaya? You have to read about the life histories, and that is one of the part of sadhana where we read we should all read the pastimes and the life history of our acharyas. That is which devotees don't generally take care of. We generally read pastimes of Krishna and Radha, and that is very nice that we should be doing. But equally, we should also read pastimes and of our, I mean to say, there's so many acharyas: Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Narottam, Vishwanath, Keshavanand Prabhu, Krishna Chandra Chakravarti, Radha Raman Chakravarti, and then there are so many associates of Gaura Mahaprabhu. Nityanand Prabhu, so many associates. Kanai Thakur, Mahesh Pandit, Rudra Pandit, Mamu Thakur. These interesting devotees. So you can go on net. Now there are net, you just type the name and everything will come. Keep on reading about them. And what happens is you become attached to them. When you know somebody, then you become attached to them. When you become attached to them, then their instructions will pierce your heart and your soul. And then avidya vinasha chate, then you will advance. So there are two ways to take association: one by respect, another with love. Association with respect helps us, association with love perfectly helps us. So Hajamil was associating with his prostitute, with his wife, with love, and all her instructions he just absorbed day by day. That prostitute said to him, well, there are so many children and you have to earn, and you can and she taught him how to earn money from bad ways, from illegal ways. And he just absorbed everything and he started doing that. He forgot all his Brahmanical training, the training given by his father. Everything is bad and wrong. He just forgot every damn thing. And he was completely overtaken by the instructions of this prostitute. How does it happen? Well, you might say, how did he forget all those good instructions of so many years? He was, I think, so what was his age? What was the age of this Jamil? I think it was some, so he was a young man. He was not an old man. He was like in his 20s something. And that is why probably he got seduced by, in young age, you do all this kind of weird things. So the point is 20 years of his training got messed up just in 1 second. How does it happen? And that is a very powerful lesson from this whole story, that it is very difficult to imbibe good things, but to imbibe bad things, it's very, very easy. It's very easy to get bad things. If you want to earn good virtues, it will take many years. But if you want to learn bad things, it can be done in 1 second. And also, it's very difficult to keep good virtues, good things in us. One thing is earning those good qualities, another thing is keeping those good qualities and nurturing them. That's very difficult. But to nurture bad qualities, we don't have to do anything. We just have to think, and we have practiced from millions of lifetimes, so we just get that again. So she taught him many many things. He got expert in doing evil things. She was his guru. His guru was his father, Brahmanical guru. And this was another
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we cannot hear you.
Like Prabhuji's network is cut off.
Looks like it, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji is back.
okay. Sorry, I just got that my net got everything got finished. Anyway, I'm back. I'm back in this material world. I'm back in this. I went to Golok and I'm again back in this material. It's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, so you see, you have to get trained. I mean to say, you can get trained in good stuff, good things. You can get trained in bad things. So she taught him so many things, and what she teach him, and he became expert in that. I mean, this is the same story like this. Was that people say about Valmiki? He was a dacoit. People say like that, although we don't believe in that. That he was a dacoit and he used to steal and do so many things for his wife and children. Similarly, the same things are happening. One thing I just wanted to tell here before I tell what he was doing and what are the implications. In scriptures, it is said if a husband is committing evil ways and sinful activities and maintaining his family, it is said Bibrat Kutumbam Ashuchir. Bibrat means maintaining, Kutumbam means household life. And I'll just come to it again. But he was maintaining his household life by doing all these sinful activities. It is said in Manu Samhita that Srila Prabhupada also comments in some other purport that if a husband is doing evil actions to maintain his family life, the family will not share those evil, sinful actions, and that will not be shared. So the whole responsibility of this is of this man, and he will incur sinful reactions. So he's going to incur these sinful reactions, and his wife and children will not. And that is very important. And that is why you see in this verse, although Jamil is into all these useless and evil ways, Jamil never realized that actually all his sinful reactions will not be shared by his wife and children. And probably Valmiki realized that. We know that Narad Muni came and he said, you are doing sins for your family, but will they share your sins? Ashwari ko bolo mujhe phone number. So will you share the sins? So his family said no. And then he got enlightened and he just woke up from his sinful reaction. And he said to Narad Muni, well, they know that you share. Narad Muni said, then you just leave this all. Probably Jamil didn't realize that. And what he was doing is, he was doing all this nonsense. And what he was doing, one word in this very important word is Dehina, which is in the last line. Dehina. Now, this word Dehina is very important, and it comes in Bhagavad Gita. We all know that. Dehino asminatha dehe komaram yognam jara tatha dehantar praptir dhirastatra navojati. So what does Dehina means? Dehi. This Dehina word comes from Dehi. Now, Dehe means body, and Dehi means one who considers himself this body. That's called Dehi. And Dehi now means a group of, I mean to say, so Dehina is actually plural. So one who considers himself body and one who is attached to this body. That's why we consider himself the body. So this word Dehina itself indicates that Ajamil became conditioned. This Dehina word is used when you are conditioned. People who think that I am this body. Now this is very important, extremely important word which Sukadeva Goswami uses, and he's trying to make us realize that by evil association, what happens is you start becoming attached to this body. That's what evil association and bad thoughts do. Your consciousness is pulled to this bodily level. Now, bad things pull your consciousness towards your body. Good things raise your consciousness towards soul. And in fact, in Jainism, if you go to Jainism, they wanted to explain this fact. How does bad things, which is pap, pulls your consciousness down in the body? And why does good things, good actions raise your consciousness towards soul? So they wanted to explain this. So they came up with a very stupid theory. And they said that bad things are also, like bad things have some atoms in it, bad atoms, bad actions. And good actions have some good atoms. So they call it as Pudgal. Pudgal, that's a word in Sanskrit. So when you do bad actions and bad thoughts, those particles, bad particles, stick on your soul. This is a theory, really. They stick on your soul and your soul becomes heavy, and that is why it goes down in this body. And when you do good things, good actions, good particles stick on your body. And good particles are like cotton and feather. So your soul becomes light and it goes up. So they want to do, of course, I mean, they are, Jainism is like atomic theory. They believe in atoms. It's like almost like Maheshika. Everything is atomic. Even God is an atom. I don't know, it's crazy stuff. But anyway, according to a Gaudiya Vaishnavas, bad things pull your consciousness down in body. Why? Because there is selfishness in evil ways. And when you become selfish, then you tend to think you are this body. And good actions raise your consciousness up, because the base of good actions is actually niswarth. Niswarth means unselfishness. And that's why you go above the body. So Ajamil, slowly he became conditioned with bad association. Slowly and steadily. That is why the word Dehina is used. The opposite of Dehina is Dhira. Dhira means one who is not attached to the body and one who is not accustomed to evil ways. That's Dhira. So, okay, so what did he learn from his guru? Prostitute. Vilmala Thakur, his guru was also prostitute. And her name was, what was his name? I just forgot. What was his prostitute's name?
Chintamani.
Yeah, Chintamani. So in Krishna Karnamrit, Bilamala Thakur, in the first verse, he pays his obeisances to Chintamani, one of his gurus. Of course, not only the guru, he had another guru who gave him good instructions, but there was Chintamani, and by her association, he became good. That's quite contradictory. Here is another prostitute, and by her association, Ajamil became bad. Now what's happening, So, but I mean to say, we learn from this. It's not necessary that if you have bad association that you become bad. It's not necessary. A person may be really out and out evil like this Chintamani, but Bilmwala Thakur, he was enlightened and awoken from his sleep from Chintamani. Chintamani said to Bilmwala Thakur, "You attach to my body, this useless body full of stool and urine, you're obsessed with that, you're addicted. to this. And if you are addicted and obsessed to the same degree with God, what would have happened? He just like bulb, like enlightened, and he just left. That was Chintamani. So the point is that it's not necessary that people are bad and the association will spoil us. It's not necessary. Sometimes bad people carry good thoughts, and sometimes good people carry bad thoughts. And that is why I told you Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains association not to associate. He doesn't explain association in terms of associating with people. He has explained association in terms of association with thoughts and concepts. Christ, when he was preaching, he had 12 apostles with him. He preached to 12 apostles, and they were his companions. Most of these apostles were either fishermen or from low caste. One was actually really a pimp. I mean to say a male prostitute. He was running a brothel. I think it was Peter or somebody, I forgot. He became his associate, and Christ. He was often going to these low class people, prostitutes. One of his associates was a prostitute, Mary Magdalene. And did he fall down? No. He changed their thinking. So that's the point. The point in the story of Ajamil, the point to carry your home, carry away point is, by this whole story of Ajamil, especially this verse, is that Krishna consciousness depends on how you think. That is Krishna consciousness. And thinking depends on what kind of ideas you carry in your mind. And ideas depend on what kind of concepts you have. And the concepts depend on what kind of learning you have. So it's all your thinking and ideas. You might be in an absolute demoniac place. Prahlad was a demon. He was associating with Hiranyakashipu, the top, I mean to say, world-class top demon. No demon is greater than him. He was a devotee. On the other hand, Narakasur, he was a child of Krishna and he became a demon. So that's one point I wanted to mention. Okay, here. So what did he learn? Bandi Akshay means he was actually kidnapping people. He became a kidnapper. And I'll talk about it later. And Kaitavas means he was gambling. He broke all principles. That's the point which Sukadeva Goswami is saying. He was gambling, cheating people. Kaitava means cheating. He was cheating in business and gambling, and he was doing all these evil ways. Garhitam Vrittim Asita. He was involved in condemned professional activities like I mean to say, probably he might have started a brothel. The prostitute will definitely train him how to run a brothel, isn't it? He was in the condemned profession. He was running a brothel probably, and he was running a wine shop. He was drinking, meat eating, and all four principles broken. Prabhupada says in the purport: illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. And why he was doing this? Vibrat Kutumbam Ashuchir, to maintain his family. Kutum means family, and Ashuchir means Ashuchi means impure. Here the sense of impurity is not physical, sense of impurity is mental, and he started doing sinful activities. That's what happened with him. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that illicit sex leads to all sinful activities. In fact, it is said like that. So it leads to all sinful activities. He was involved in illicit sex, and then his mind got contaminated and he started doing all these things. He also never felt a guilt. It is not mentioned he was feeling a guilt, because it is said, Yata Yam Asha Dehina. Yata, he was giving trouble to others, and he was leading his life. Dehina, he was giving trouble to other living entities. He was conditioned, and he was giving trouble to other conditioned people because of enviousness. So he never felt a guilt in his life. That's the biggest problem. It is not. I mean to say, everybody will fall into sins one time or the other. You can't help it out. Even devotees, you will not be able to help it out. Prabhupada says in the purport. If, of course, restraint is very difficult, but it is quite possible if one fully surrenders to Krishna. So this restraint is very difficult to restrain oneself from evil ways, especially in this age. So we will all fall into sinful activities, or rather, let us say, we're already fallen in sinful activities. We're trying to do something, some good things as a devotee, but we are all in an ocean of sins. Our mind is an ocean of sins, if not our physical our body. So what happens is Krishna doesn't really see that we fall into sinful actions. Krishna sees whether you're feeling guilt or not after falling down. If that guilt is there, he will forgive. That guilt is not there, then you're in a serious condition. And then we will have to face extreme reactions. Now this is happening with Ajamil. Ajamil is fallen, by the way. He has fallen. If that guilt is there, you're not fallen in the eyes of Krishna. And that is why Bhagavad Gita says, Apichet suduracharo bhaste mamananya bhak sadhureva samantabhi. Krishna says, in my eyes, those devotees who have fallen out of habit or weakness, and they have a guilt in their heart, I consider them as saint. In the eyes of society, they might be fallen, but not in my eyes. But Ajamil is all fallen in the eyes of Krishna because there's no guilt. He's just doing everything, and he's keep on doing everything. I think he had 10 children or what? I forgot. Ajamil was the how many children he had? Ajamil. So his son was the youngest son, whom he named Narayan. I don't know. Probably he had some 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know, something. He, of course, he might have had a lot of children because he was with a prostitute then. And at that time, there were no contraceptives also. So he produced children. So that means he was just continuing his life. So he was in a very precarious condition. Now what happens is, this is one point, remember this point, and I'll come to this point again. This is a very important point in the story of Ajamil. He was not feeling guilt, and because of that, he couldn't reform himself. And years after years after years, he was in sinful activity. If you have guilt in your heart, that guilt helps you to reform yourself. That guilt attracts the mercy of Krishna, and then you reform yourself. Ajamil brought that prostitute, and years together he was with that prostitute. I mean to say, if he would have developed guilt of doing bad things, he would have left her and changed his life. But he didn't do that till the end of his life. We know that. So that is why this is one, and this is a very important point. I'll come to that point later. But I'll come to this verse again. He was kidnapping, was gambling. Kaitava means cheating, by the way, in this verse. I'm again coming to this Sanskrit. Kaitava means cheating. Probably he was a Brahmana, and he was also cheating in that way, cheating them religiously. There's so many false gurus now who cheat people, who show themselves something and do something. He actually was trained in Karma Kand, all this Pandit activities. So probably what was happening is, externally he was showing he was a Brahmana, and then on the other side he was involved on all this useless sinful activities. He not only became sinful, he became hypocrite, because by family he was a Brahmana, and also he became offensive. So he was completely out of the picture. So what happens is, but even if you're fallen completely, still Krishna will never forget you. That's the beauty of this story. What Ajamil did in this life, this 20 years or so of his life in complete purity and complete service to God, and even in his previous life, Krishna never forgot that, and he planned to save him. That's the idea. So that is why it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the servant can leave the master, but the master never leaves the servant. So if the master leaves the servant, then how better the master is than the servant. So the servant might be like crazy, but the master is always perfect. The servant is imperfect, but the master is perfect. He will never leave his servant. Narottam Das Thakur prays in one of his songs that, "Oh my Lord, if I leave you, please catch me from my hair and again pull me back at a lotus feet." So Krishna never leaves us, but there's all chances of us leaving him. But then he'll again plan. That is why Krishna says, my devotees will never fall down. Even if they are falling down, still they don't fall down. Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a verse. Nate Madhava Kvachit. What's that verse? I forgot. Nate Madhava Kvachit. I just forgot that verse. But in that verse, it is Prabhupada quotes. It is said the devotees of Krishna don't fall down as the materialistic people who fall down. Just it. So the devotees fall down as materialistic people fall down. When materialistic people fall down, they're gone. Or when devotees fall down, they don't fall down because Krishna is planning from the back end to actually bring them back again. He never forgets the service of his devotees. We might forget, but he'll never forget. Every action and every thought is registered in his mind. Even the smallest of action of offering a flower or thinking good about him or good about his devotees, just thinking Vaishnavas are nice, he will record that. And his nature is to avoid judgment and give mercy. Avoid punishment and give mercy. That's his nature. He will take all means and he will find all excuses to forgive you. That's his nature. And he will extend his mercy. So he remembered what Ajamil did, and in spite of Ajamil being really fallen, he planned how to save him. And what he did, it is said one day in Ajamil's life, 4 Brahmanas came to his house when his youngest child was born. I think Ajamil's youngest child was crippled, right? Was crippled, I think, because he was not. I think Ajamil's youngest child was actually physically challenged. So he was youngest and physically challenged. So naturally, he became very affectionate to that child. And when he was born, 4 saints came to his house and they told Ajamil, please keep the name of this child Narayana. And it is said that those 4 saints were sent by Krishna, by Narayana to him. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.33. What's this? I don't know. Maybe something. So those 4 saints sent. These 4 saints were sent by Krishna, and to save him. You see, this is Krishna's plan. When Krishna plans something, you'll not be able to understand what he's doing, and that's why Rupa Goswami says one of his nature is grave. Nobody can understand what he's thinking and what he's doing. Nobody. You might logically think he might be doing like this, but when you will come to know what he's doing, you'll be surprised, completely surprised. And he left Ajamil for many years to actually go down because he did an offense. So that he had to get the reactions of the offense. But nevertheless, when Ajamil was experiencing the reaction of offense and he went down into evil ways, Krishna had a plan in future to protect him. So he sent these 4 Mahabhagavatas to his house. They said, keep the name Narayan. He kept the name Narayan and he was attached, and entire day he was speaking Narayan, 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 Narayan. Because of that, all his sinful reactions got neutralized. And at the time of death, he called his youngest son Narayan, and we all know that he was liberated from all sinful reactions. Vishnu Dut came and they told him, now you go and practice in Haridwar. He then practiced, he attained love, and he went back to the world. See, this is what is Krishna's plan. So this is Jamil's story. There are so many lessons to learn from the story. We should be like Krishna, like father, like sons, is it? So if a devotee has become like a Jamil, we should extend a mercy and not condemn them or hate them. That's a devotee. Devotee always tries to help others and serve others. We should never condescend, condemn, or hate those devotees who are into evil ways and who have fallen. That's not a Vaishnava. Krishna's mission is to save others and help others. That's what we have to become. So this is all the story of Ajamil from the side of a devotee, from the side of God, what Ajamil is doing, what Krishna is doing, how he's planning things. And there's a lot to learn from this story. In fact, one of the central teaching of this story is that holy names are the most powerful means to attain God. And Ajamil spoke Narayan simply because of chanting the holy names, he was saved. Now, this is very interesting. He was completely out. The holy name saved him. So how much hope we have who are not out now. We are not into evil ways. By chanting holy names, there is a lot of hope for us. But at the same time, we should always remember that we should not take advantage of this situation. That holy name is very powerful. We should try to serve the holy name, keep ourselves pure. And remember Ajamil. We should remember Ajamil. If Ajamil could fall down just by seeing one incident, what is going to happen to us if we just keep on involving in all these kind of, I mean to say, in internet age, everybody's seeing everything. So we're at great risk. Jamil just saw once and he was out. But we are like bombarded with all this kind of nonsense, and we have to pray continuously, because you see, we might control ourselves and we might like suppress ourselves, but who knows, last life offenses might be lingering in our consciousness. And when those offenses will get ripened, at that time you will not be able to stop yourself. Offenses will take away all your capacity of self-control, in like Kenjan, and will fall down. So continuously we should pray, and we should serve devotees, and like that we'll be safe, and we'll be assured to go back to Godhead if we are sincere and if we put right efforts. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anything anybody wants to ask? Done. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki. What a beautiful class, Prabhu. Wonderful inspiration class, Prabhu. We express our gratitude for the dedicated, valuable time you always give to us, and you help us in this spiritual journey. My question is, Prabhu, you mentioned about the previous offenses, jo hamare pichle janam ke, karma hai. So in a previous life, if we have done offenses, does that affect in our present life? And is it considered like a delayed karma?
Yeah. That's what, if we have offenses from previous life, great offenses, it's going to block our devotion in this life. And you see, it's practical. I mean, to say, you see so many devotees, they read Prabhupada books and they chant, but the speed of everyone is different.
Right.
Now, why is it? I mean to say, you can select some 20 devotees in one temple hearing to same speaker, but everybody's at different speeds. So why? Because of previous sinful reactions. Sinful reactions and offenses. Sinful reactions cannot stop your devotion, but they can reduce the speed. But offenses, they can stop our devotion. They can completely stop it. But it depends. If the offenses are weak in previous life, then they will reduce the speed.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're very grave, like in Ajamil against Parashar Muni, they'll completely destroy and stop our devotion. So but we don't know. Yeah, we don't know whether we are offenses or sins or whatever. We actually don't know. But there's even no need to know that we have done offenses in previous life. It is certain that we were doing offenses. At least we should think like that.
Yeah, but we still can be advanced and we can get liberated.
Yeah, we still can become advanced and liberated, but that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. We have to accept this fact that we have been offensive since millions of lifetimes.
Yeah.
If we simply accept it, Krishna will forgive most of them. But out of a false ego, we don't accept. You see many devotees, they undergo problems in their life, like serious problems, and at a point when they're undergoing problems, a thought comes in their life, why this is happening to me?
Right.
So, and that very thought destroys your devotion at that very point, because, well, why this is happening? This means you're not convinced that millions of lifetimes we are doing complete nonsense things and offenses. So the question is not why this is happening. The question is, this should have happened earlier.
Yeah.
So you see, that's the kind of, Krishna wants this kind of thinking, because your question, we can still be advanced. We can still be advanced if we have proper thinking and proper consciousness in this respect. But if we don't think like this, then advancement will be slow. That's the idea.
Thank you. So the bottom line is to be in Krishna consciousness. And it depends, like you said, how we think.
Yeah, that's the idea. To be in Krishna consciousness with right attitude. This is what Srila Prabhupada says in Nectar Instruction.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for that answer. Do you have for questions, Prabhu?
Yeah.
There is so many questions on the chat box.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I would like Sukhakara Krishna Das Prabhu. Just go ahead with your question, Prabhu. Mute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Keshavanand Prabhu, as usual, you are the best. The lecture was so good, so fantastic. So now, what you are telling that about the sinful reactions. Now, there are a lot of, even after coming to the devotional life, there are many devotees having some sort of disturbances, the sins which is not getting removed, not getting burned out. So, what is the solution for, instead of doing so many years of devotional service, still some sort of distractions are coming, and how to get rid of that?
Well, first of all, I don't think so till death we'll be able to get rid of distractions. I personally don't think so. It is so difficult. Mind is out. The only way to get out of this is what Krishna suggests is we have to realize the fact we are not this mind. Let it get distracted. We can't stop it. It's impossible, at least in this age. We have to understand we are not this mind and go beyond it by experiencing higher taste. That's what Krishna suggests. And that's a permanent solution. Otherwise, it can't be solved. We have sins from millions and millions and millions of lifetimes. Chanting can destroy all sinful reactions in a second, but our chanting is not pure. That's the problem. And if we try to fight with our mind, we'll fail. It's impossible. I mean to say, I personally tried. It's impossible.
Or to neglect the mind. I mean, if the thought comes, you just reject it. I mean,
no,
care.
Don't reject, don't accept. Be neutral. Just tell your mind whatever you think. Just do. My service is to serve Krishna. I will keep on doing. So the idea is not to reject and not to accept because rejection is also another form of acceptance. The point is, if you accept something, you're focusing your attention on that thing. You're rejecting, again, you're focusing your attention on that thing. So that demands your attention. The idea is to become disentangled from that particular thing so that you don't think about it. So you see, Chanakya Pandit says, a brahmachari who thinks I will not marry, he'll be the first person to marry. He'll fall down. So negative or positive, it attracts attention. And so the point is, you should treat your mind like a stone. You just lying, that's all. Not accept, not reject. And focus your attention on Krishna's service. And slowly mind will die down. It'll just keep quiet. That's the trick. That is the trick which in Bhagavatam, Hamsa Guhya prayers. Hamsa, not Hamsa Guhya prayers. In Bhagavatam, Hamsa Avatar, 4 Kumaras went to Brahmaji and they asked, how do we control the mind? It's impossible. Our mind is in material world and material world is in a mind. They are one. Stopping mind means stopping this material world. So Brahma said, well, I don't have an answer to this. And suddenly a Hamsa avatar of Krishna came and he proposed this solution. Well, you will not be able to stop your mind. Just like you can't stop this creation, you can't stop your mind because they're linked. So what you do is you get beyond this mind. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. This is the second chapter, third chapter. I think last verse of third chapter, something. Yeah, our senses is mind, our mind is intelligence, our intelligence is false ego, beyond that is soul. So we go to the level of soul. So how to do that? Don't do anything with your mind. That demands practice. So when something bad comes in your mind, don't get bewildered. Don't get disturbed. Don't do anything. Just focus on your work. It will come and go, come and go, come and go. Things comes, just as bad things come, bad things go automatically. But if you focus, it will come and stay with you. That's the idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Next is Prahalada Anand Prabhuji. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much, Mataji. And thank you very much, Keshavanand Prabhuji. Your lectures are always enlightening. My comment is not a question, but I want to find out what happened to that prostitute and the son Narayan. They must have been liberated.
That's a good question. About the prostitute, there is no information in any of the scriptures. I searched that. Even Jiva Goswami is mentioning, probably nothing happened to them. She just went to hell or whatever. Because Ajamil, he after he was saved from Vishnu Dut, he went to Hardwar. He just left everything. And he did tapasya in Hardwar. And from there, he again went back to Godhead. So he just left them. So probably she didn't, I mean to say, it's your question is like in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, there were so many pure devotees.
Yes.
But many of the pure devotees' wives are not mentioned. The children are not mentioned. Just like so what happened to them? Well, they're not mentioned because they were non-devotees and just got reborn and again in cycle of karmas. About that child, nothing is mentioned about that child. Probably he also slipped into laws of karma. So none of them were liberated as far as we know from at least present information from scriptures. None of the acharyas are mentioning. Not either Madhvacharya, Bhagacharya.
I I was just thinking in terms of what Prahlad Maharaj was told by Narsimha Bhagavan, that you are such a great devotee, everybody. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also told us to diagram
Oh,
that he
yeah,
would
yeah.
deliver the
Yeah, in that
dogs.
sense, yeah, I mean, you can think in that sense, but yeah, in that sense, perhaps they might have got, perhaps they might have got good birth in next life because of influence of Ajamil. Yeah, that might have happened. You're right.
That's right. That's what I was thinking. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prahlad and Prabhu, for that interesting question. And thank you, Keshavanand and Prabhu, for that. The next is, and go ahead with your question. Purna, sorry. Looks like they're not there. Anyway, next, Smita Mataji, you can go ahead.
Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance.
Oh, we can't hear your voice, Mataji, because you're very soft speaking. I think something is wrong.
No, we cannot hear you, Mataji.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, no.
Prabhuji, I have one question for जब महाप्रभु जब के समय
Keep
500
the mic close to you, Mataji. We still can't hear you.
तो उस समय लोग महाप्रभु के जितने भी पार्षद थे उनको वो अष्टविकार होते थे, उन्माद होते थे, लेकिन अभी तो गीता में दिया हुआ है कि जब हम लास्ट मोमेंट में भगवान का नाम लेते तो भगवत धाम पहुंच जाते। तो स्टैंडर्ड क्या है कि वो सारे विकार होने चाहिए जो महाप्रभु के समय होता था, या फिर नाम लेने से भगवत धाम पहुंच जाएंगे अंत समय में?
Well, the question is, should I repeat the question? It's English forum. So the question is that do we have to experience, I mean to say all the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were experiencing ecstatical symptoms and symptoms of love. And that is why, and then they went back to God. They were associates, so they went back. But in Gita it says you should remember, if you remember God at the time of death, you will go back to God. So is it necessary that before death we should experience all those ecstatic symptoms or not? Well, the idea is not to experience anything. The idea is to serve Krishna. This ecstatical symptom, experience of ecstatical symptoms is a proof of our perfection in Krishna consciousness. So we can only remember Krishna at the time of death only if we are perfect in our Krishna consciousness, otherwise we'll miss that chance. It's very difficult to remember Krishna at the time of death. King Kulashekar, he says, Krishna todiyata papada pankajananta adeva mive vishatu rajahamsa prana 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 samyaka pavata pitta smaranam kutaste. He says, oh my Lord, let me die now, because at the time of death, how will I remember you? That's Kulashekar. So what about us? Nothing. So that can only happen if we can attain Krishna Prem, love of God before death. Prabhupada says so many times, attain love of God. So attaining love of God means experiencing the symptoms. So the idea is, if we don't experience those symptoms, that means we don't have love of God. That means we'll not be able to remember Krishna at the time of death, unless it can be an exception. By exceptional mercy of God, some people might remember, but generally it cannot be. So yeah, the answer is we have to experience those symptoms at certain level, not at the level what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates are experiencing. Those are very higher levels of experience. But at certain level, we should be able to experience and attain love of God and serve Him, and then we'll be able to remember Krishna and go.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Smita Mataji. Thanks, Prabhu, for that answer. Next is Vali, or I don't know if Ki Purna is still available. Unmute yourself. Vali can go ahead. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is a wonderful class, Prabhuji, where we can see the mercy of Krishna everywhere, right? What is happening around also is considered to be the same. level maybe. I'm thinking about these karmas from the past life, how Ajamila was watching Parasramani and Satyavati. All these karmas are called Sanchita karmas, right, Prabhuji? From the previous.
Yeah.
So in the first few verses of this chapter, we heard about this praschitta and how we can paschatapa and all this. And they can vanish our present karmas, but not the previous karmas, right?
Well, yeah. The karmas in this life, but not in previous lives.
Yeah. So they're already there with us, imprinted. Because of those karmas only, we got this life and the places we are going and people we are meeting. That is all related to that.
Yeah, it's all related to all those karma. I mean to say, whatever even you're thinking, that's also influenced by previous karmas.
Yes, you said that the link is so beautiful, Prabhuji. Can you repeat again? Because what you think comes to the action. How you think depends on your samskara, and the samskaras comes from. That's what you said, right, Prabhuji? That is so nice.
Yeah, I just forgot what I said. Probably.
Yeah. It is all the Leela, that's what I can see. And to avoid this, to go back to Godhead, this is the Jamila story is the best. But I am also thinking about the Smatchagandhi, how she became Satyavati. And because of that, she just asked for a boon to take away the smell from her body. When Parasharamani asked, what do you want in return? So with that smell itself, she became from Matchagandhi to Satyavati. Because of that smell, the Santana Maharaj was attracted to her when he went to the forest just to do this. And then we only, because it will go for yojanas, the smell, it is not remaining only to her, to that particular house, but it will spread to yojanas. That's what the Parasamari gave a boon. And because of that boon, the Santana Maharaj got attracted, and Bhishma Mahadev's story and everything happened. So everything is already woven.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. See, it was destined that she should have bad odor, and that helped her to remain chaste. And then when she got good odor, that again helped us to Bhishma and all those things. So all bad and good things, it's all planned and destined, and things will come along like that. So the conclusion is, then why to worry?
Yeah. So we are just flowing with the water. That's what I can feel. Because we don't have any navigation with us. We are just flowing. And how we meet in the classes, how we are getting the answers. Because even if we have any questions in our daily routine and from other classes, sometimes we'll easily get the answers in this morning group. That's what I'm looking. Because whatever happens, sometimes I was thinking whether to go for the astrology because something is going wrong in my life. That day, actually, I was listening to the class, the Bhagavatam class. I got the text from another Mataji how to go there. Then I said, after my class, I will call. So in the class, I got the answer that it is already there when you are taking shelter of Krishna and we have strong faith. Why to go to all these people? So immediately I got the reply from this class, Prabhuji. So that's what I thought, like I already got my reply. No need to call that person back again. So, very nice, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Thank you very Mataji for that question.
Hare Krishna.
For that answer. Do you have more time, Prabhuji?
Fine.
Maybe on the chat box. K. Purna Mataji, are you still available? If you have any questions or realization, please go ahead. No, I think she's not. No, she's not there.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is Dolly from Jammu, Kashmir.
Okay.
Can I speak in Hindi?
Yeah, just speak.
मैं आपसे मेरा नाम सुनना चाहती हूँ प्रभु जी. आपके लेक्चर सुन के मैं भगवान को ही भूल गई हूँ. सुबह से शाम तक मैं आपको सुनती हूँ, मगर कभी पटियाला वाले, कभी कुछ, मेरे को समझ नहीं आता। आज मुझे इतनी ब्लेसिंग्स हो रही है कि मैं आपको लाइव देख रही हूँ। प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम, दंडवत प्रणाम। मैं बिल्कुल न्यू हूँ कृष्णा कॉन्शियस में। मेरे को ये 1 साल हो गया है। भागवत क्लास अटेंड करती हूँ, भगवत गीता क्लास अटेंड करती हूँ, मगर आपको सुन सुन के सच में भगवान को भूल गई हूँ। और जो आपने बोला कि
Yeah, speak on. Bolo. I think connection खराब हो गया।
But yes, Prabhu, can you just translate that question she had asked so that others can also?
There was no question. She was just telling that. I just forgot it.
But about God after listening to his grace.
Yeah.
It was so nice of her, Thank you, Prabhuji. Let me see if any more questions here. Yes, Priyanka Mataji, please go ahead with your question. And Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I ask you?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You are still there, huh? Okay.
अभी प्रभु जी बहुत दिनों से आपके लाइव लेक्चर नहीं आ रहे थे।
Yeah, I was just my YouTube manager. He's on holiday, so that's the point.
Okay. प्रभु जी मैं शुरू स्टार्टिंग से लेक्चर नहीं सुनी, बीच में ज्वाइन किया था, तो मुझे नहीं पता कि अजामिल ने मतलब पिछले जन्म में क्या पाप किया था। लेकिन मैं ये पूछ रही थी कि अभी हम लोग हैं, कुछ लोग तो भक्ति में एकदम नए आए हैं, कुछ को थोड़ा सा समय हुआ है, तो हमारे मन में भी तो कई बार ऐसे विचार आ जाते हैं कि हम नहीं समझ पा रहे होते हैं कि शुद्ध भक्त क्या कर रहे हैं, और कई बार हम सोच लेते हैं क्या पता नहीं कि ये क्या कर रहे हैं, और हम गलत भी सोच जाते हैं उनके बारे में, तो हमें भी इस तरह का इतना तगड़ा वाला अपराध लग जाएगा।
The question is that if we think about others and other devotees in a mind, just like Ajamal thought in his previous life, will we also get this problem?
Prabhuji, can you translate?
Yeah, I told, actually I'm translating the question.
Okay.
The question is that she's asking that just like Ajamil in previous life, he thought something about Parashar Muni and he was like into this grave offense. We also sometimes thoughts come against pure devotees, and so will we also suffer like Ajamil? Well, the point is that Ajamil in previous life, we thought about Parashar Muni. Parashar Muni is God himself. He's Shakti Shakta of God. He's not ordinary devotee. He's not even a guru, or he's not even an ordinary acharya. He's God. At least Sri Sampradaya believes like that. And I mean, the scripture says like that. So he's a direct Shakti Vishaktar of incarnation. Some Sampradayas, Sri Sampradaya, they consider Parashar Muni as partial incarnation of God. So he's not an ordinary devotee. So thinking about him is a very serious offense. For us, I mean to say, and there is another point. When Parashar Muni is there, like 5,000 years back, at that time these Rishi Munis were there, and things were, I mean to say, Kali Yuga just started, so the rules were different. So and a Rishi of that level who is trained in everything, and after having knowledge is thinking, it's a very serious error. Now for us, situation is different. I mean to say, so we don't encounter Parashar Muni. We encounter normal devotees, first of all, that side. And on the other hand, as far as we are concerned, we are not trained, we are not a Rishi, we are not Brahmana, we are just struggling. And it's obvious that we'll have some stupid thoughts. But at the same time, we have guilty. That why I'm getting these thoughts. So Krishna will just forgive this. It's not a serious offense, considering the circumstances and our level of devotion. So it is said if a Brahmana commits, if a Brahmana steals, and if a Shudra steals, Brahmana will get more punishment because he knows that stealing is bad, but Shudra doesn't know. So it's not a serious offense. But having said that, we should get rid of this habit. We should make our mind pure and go ahead. But Krishna knows we are helpless. He knows we are like Krishna knows that we are like what they say, Kaleh dosho nidhe rajan. They completely helpless. If these kind of stupid thoughts are not coming in your mind, then Krishna will be surprised that you have gone mad. Nothing is happening to your mind. There's some problem in our mind. So that's the other way it works around.
प्रभु जी एक और था, अभी आप कह रहे थे, एक ने प्रश्न पूछा था कि शुद्ध, जैसे कि अजामिल के ऊपर पूछा था कि अजामिल की उस वैश्य पत्नी का क्या हुआ, और आपने कहा कि कई चैतन्य महाप्रभु की लीला में कई भक्त ऐसे हैं उनकी पत्नियों का कोई जिक्र ही नहीं है, और वो आप कह रहे हैं कि आप वो कर्म के उसमें फंसी, मतलब तो प्रभु जी मैं जानना चाहती थी कि शुद्ध भक्तों के साथ ऐसे नॉर्मल लोग कैसे आ सकते हैं, जबकि वो लीला हो रही है और एक नॉर्मल आदमी वहां कनेक्ट हो रहा है और उसको इफेक्ट नहीं हो रहा, जबकि कहते हैं लो मात्र साधु संग, कैसे समझे?
No, the question is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates. Oh, you can't speak in English or what? You're in London, no? चलो ठीक है, कोई नहीं. So ठीक है, इस फोरम पे मुझे रिपीट करना पड़ा, ठीक है, कोई नहीं. So she's asking the question that all the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were pure devotees, but their wives, many of their wives and children were non-devotees. So they didn't convert by associating with pure devotees or Lord Mahaprabhu. Well, that's the point there. That's what I was saying. Association doesn't mean physical proximity. I mean to say, there's so many Prabhupada disciples, they fell down. Association means exchange of thoughts. And for a wife, husband is always a useless, normal person, isn't it? Even if he's a Paramahamsa. A wife can never believe that her husband is a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada's wife, she thought Prabhupada is crazy, and she was, that's why in the end it happened. Do you want tea or you want me? Prabhupada said. So she said tea, so he left. In the history of mankind, all pure devotees' wife, with exceptions might be there, they never believed that their husband is a pure devotee. Never. There was a saint, there was a very big saint in Islam. I forgot his name. Very famous throughout the world. And so one person, he came from very far off to meet him. But when he reached his house after a month of traveling, he was in the forest somewhere cutting woods. So he knocked, and the wife came out, and he said, "You see, so I want to meet that so and so called Maulana, who's having millions of disciples and this and that." So his wife said, "Come on, you want to meet that stupid person? He's not a pure devotee, he's nonsense. Somehow he's got disciples." So he said, "What you're saying? You don't know how famous he is." She told, he says, "What you are saying? I know my husband better than anybody else." That's the idea. That saint's name I forgot. So anyway, that's the idea. So as far as wives, it is quite expected. Many of the devotees' wives are non-devotees, and children are non-devotees. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife, an ordinary woman. Children, non-devotees, many of them. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And that's why Bhaktisanta Thakur said that I would have married 1,000 times. I would have got 1,000 wives, but I'm not sure whether my children will be devotees. So association doesn't mean physical proximity. No. I mean to say, so many people are listening in this forum to me. It doesn't mean that they're associating with me until otherwise they are understanding what I'm saying, or trying to understand what I'm saying, and actually imbibing those ideas. So it's possible. It was like that, and it will be like that.
They can't get any benefit Any benefit?
Well, we don't talk in benefit terms. In Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we talk either love of God or nothing. No benefit. We don't. Mahaprabhu doesn't teach us benefit. It doesn't. But of course, but you're right. Yeah, in future they will get good birth in a Vaishnava family. That is true. Because they were in devotees' house, they were wives, so they might be eating like Mahaprasad and serving their devotees. Krishna will never forget them. So they will get Bhakti Sukruti. Definitely they'll get. And a good birth in a Vaishnava family, and then they will take the head from there. At least that will be there 100%.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you for that answer, Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji. I have a few questions I'll read out in the chat box. It is Jyoti Mataji, Jyoti Tatne. Prabhuji, Krishna is interested in our intention. Then how Ajamilji calling his son was considered for neutralizing the sins? How this is possible?
Well, that's the whole. I think Mataji, you should read 6th canto first. Read that, and that is why the story is there. The power of holy name. Holy name can destroy sins even without intention. That is holy name. But holy name will never give love of God without proper intentions. So for love of God, you need right attitude or intentions. For neutralizing sins, you don't require intentions. It will just destroy. That's the whole purpose of the story.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. And then Anumataji is saying, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, I want to know, can we order your USB from outside India, where you have kindly compiled all lectures of Bhagavad Gita at one place?
Oh, yeah, you can do. I mean to say, she can mail me, and then I will tell, and she can mail. So Anumataji, you can mail me, and then I'll connect you. So wherever you are, please write the location. Then I'll connect to you. So my mail is so you know my mail. You can write. It is Keshavanand, KESHAV ANAND. That's all.
Yeah.
ANAND, and then 108. 108 at the rate gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That's really nice. And today I just wanted to say, I saw that you are coming, and when I heard that you are coming, I'm like, I had office. I'm like, forget office. I have to go attend your class. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure hearing you always. Thank you, Ji.
You are from where?
I'm from Canada, Prabhuji.
Oh,
From
Canada. Okay, yeah.
I connected with you through Madhusarita, Prabhuji.
Okay, you are okay.
Yes.
Fine. Now I remember.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
I will email after you. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhu, for that answer. So Pooja Arora, she's just expressing her gratitude. I don't have enough words in my feelings, Prabhuji, but only I could say that your lectures, all lectures, are my life in Krishna consciousness. So she's just saying her. Do you have time for any other question? I don't see any.
If there's no question,
Shama,
spelling of email, right? So what's the email they showed here, Mataji? Just can you show that email, my email? People asking, is the spelling correct? I just wanted to.
Yes, Prabhuji, I can type it up.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Guru Srila Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very wonderful class. The question is, when was the story of Ajamil happened?
When Ajamil's story, perhaps there is no definite record, but if we read properly Ajamil's story, then it seems to have happened in Dwapar somewhere, because definitely this story is not happened in Satyuga. It's for sure. Because in Satyuga there were no prostitutes and hunters; they were all Paramahamsas. They were just one caste, Achyut Gotra. And it definitely will not happen in Treta, because in Treta they introduced this marriage concept. In Mahabharata it comes, so they introduced marriage, and there were no prostitutes at time. They recently introduced marriage and they were married. And definitely it will not happen in Kali Yuga, because in Kali Yuga, I mean to say, in Kali Yuga you don't need to go to forest to see 100 prostitutes. You can be in city and everybody's doing everything. So logically it seems it happens in Dwapar Yuga. I'm just logically coming to this conclusion. That's all.
Prabhuji, for the Ajamila, he just saw the hunter and prostitute. Yes, he didn't mean to see that, but he just saw it.
Yeah.
And in Kali Yuga nowadays, people watch movies.
Yeah.
What will happen to them?
Well, that's what I was saying. Ajamil just fell down by seeing something and without an intent. And we are seeing movies. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. But you see, I'll tell you one thing. Many devotees also, they are very disturbed, because people are addicted to all these things nowadays. It's a lot of addiction. Probably a Jamil story is there to remind us that don't play with fire. What will happen to them? I don't know. Krishna knows. I really don't know what's going to happen, but it's a very serious situation. That's all.
Yeah.
Hey, Prabhuji, is a question from Monica Mataji in the chat box. Hare Krishna Dandavat Pranam. Like Ajamil chanted his son's name Narayan and got rid of his sinful activities and its reactions, can if a devotee who are by previous life or this life's habit are forced to do sinful activities and not able to follow regulation principles and avoid meat eating, lust, etc. So can if a devotee just depend on chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra without trying to follow 4 regulative principles, and then by depending on Harinam alone gradually stop all sinful activities? And one more is, can a neophyte devotee who is chanting 16 rounds daily but not following 4 regulative principles can take shelter of Tulsi Kantimala and wear it?
Well, we can't do like this. Ajamil was not following 4 regulative principles. It's not that he was not following, he was fallen. He forgot everything. And so it was not that he was just doing devotion and he was not following 4 regulative principles and he was thinking, I'll get mercy and I'll go back. No, that's not the right thing. That if we think like that, then that will be again an offense against holy name, to commit sinful activities on the strength of holy name. That's the 7th offense. Nam Nogaladesri Papa Buddhi Vidyate Name Shuddhi. So that will be an offense. But Ajamil was not implicated in that offense because he was out of devotion and he was just doing sins, and he also didn't understand what he's doing and was not having anything. But as far as your question, we'll simply depend on holy name and we'll keep on committing sinful reactions. We'll never also put efforts to get out of it. Well, this is a clear offense. So rather than advancing, we'll go to hell for this kind of thinking. So we have to try to get rid of all these sins and then chant holy name. Then it's going to work. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, and Kantimala, we have to. So we should get rid of these 4 things and then wear Kantimala. That will be proper. Otherwise people will say, well, he's a devotee and then he's doing all kind of nonsense things. So in that sense, we'll also be defaming Krishna and devotees and ISKCON and Krishna consciousness, and it will not be also be good for us. So yeah, just leave them or try to leave them and we are Kantimala. I'm not saying that you'll be able to leave these kind of things 100%, especially illicit sex. But others, meat eating, just leave it. Intoxication, leave it. That's all. And we are Kantimala. That's all.
Thank you, Prabhu, for that answer. Tiffany Mataji's question in the chat box. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, is in one of the lessons from Devahuti is if a wife serves the husband, well, they will get part of the husband's spiritual credits. Please correct me or clarify.
No, Devahut, spiritual credits will never get. That's individual. Ramanujacharya is very clear on this point. Srila Prabhupada is clear that whatever wife does, she gets. Whatever husband does, she gets. It's an individual journey. What wife gets is bhakti sukruti. So when we say spiritual, if you mean by spiritual credits bhakti sukruti, that's okay. But if you mean by spiritual credits in the sense of advancing in devotional life and going near love of God and purification of heart, that's not going to happen. It's a very individual thing. So no spiritual credits, but some kind of let's say. So what do we call it? Bhakti sukruti in English. Some kind of pious credits, they say, not, or some kind of pious credits, some kind of pious devotional credits, like that. It's mixed. That's all. No, in real terms, no spiritual credits.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu, for that answer. I don't see any more questions in the chat box. So if no one has any further questions,
okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Can I ask about my sadhana when Prabhuji have allowed? Prabhuji allowed.
Okay,
I don't know. You can.
प्रभु जी मुझको अपनी साधना के बारे में पूछना है कि मेरे अंदर दृढ़ता की कमी है। 16 माला तो मैं करती हूँ, पर रीडिंग के लिए रीडिंग नहीं रेगुलर होता, लेक्चर सुन लेते हैं, लेकिन रीडिंग में देखा था कि रीडिंग वाज मोर इफेक्टिव देन लिसनिंग में थोड़ा अटेंटिवनेस कभी कभी कम होती है, तो मैं उससे बाहर नहीं निकल पा रही हूँ।
Well, you read.
To be
your question is that reading is more effective, so you can't read, but you're listening. You're listening lectures, is
it? Yes.
See, the point is whether you listen or whether you read. You have to do mananam. You have to contemplate, and that devotees miss. They either hear all time, or just some people read. Some people do both, but they don't contemplate. Shravanam, mananam. And that is why you're feeling you're not advancing. If you hear, give some time free to think what you have heard, keep a copy, stop lectures, stop reading, and write what you have learned. And that then the knowledge you can imbibe knowledge, because continuous hearing and continuous reading is actually information bombardment. So there will be so many points, but it will just be in your head and it will not be get connected. So I think that's missing. Do that. Take some time. Don't do anything. Sit and meditate or contemplate what you have heard. Try to write it in a copy, important points, and then you will see after a month. I hope you'll be okay by this thing.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay.
If no questions, we can end the call here.
Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead, Shama Guru.
Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Who is that?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Very beautiful class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question based on like seva. Like if there is one seva and there are two persons who can do that, and if one person was to give the chance to other, sacrifice the seva, so how is the credit shared? Is the person, I want to know, like if the person should be greedy for the seva.
Well, see, the person who sacrifices, he is always above than the person who accepts. That's the rule of Bhagavad Gita. Yagvedanta pakarma pavnani manisha. Yagvedanta pakarma pavnani manisha. So anybody who does sacrifice, Krishna says, he sacrifice can even pure greatest of souls. So that's quite contradictory, because if you do service, we are greedy for service, but if we do service, we'll advance. But if we sacrifice service, not because of a sense gratification, but because other devotees can do, that's a big credit in eyes of Krishna. So if we can do that in spiritual world, it happens like that. Srimati Radharani sacrifices to be with Krishna, and she allows other gopis to be with him. Although she knows that Krishna will be most pleased by his association, she knows that, but still she gives chance for service to other gopis. So the more you sacrifice, the more you advance. That's the rule.
Yes, Prabhuji, this makes so many things clear, because we have to love Vaishnavas. That's what pleases Krishna. So when we are so much adjustable, then it is also benefiting the person and also devotees and also pleasing Krishna. So it makes sense, Prabhuji. So the laulyam should be to get love of Krishna, but not for seva in case of competition.
Yeah. It's a devotee always feels so happy by assisting others. That kind of consciousness is good. We remain behind, assist others. I mean to say, you can sacrifice that service, ask them to do service, and you can ask them if we can support, if we can help in any way, please command us. And it will also help us to remain in a mood of a servant rather than mode of a master. So an activity is important, but more important is a consciousness in that activity. And sometimes by leaving that activity, you develop more deeper consciousness than doing that. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. That's all seems contradictory, but all harmonizes when we understand devotion.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Your lectures are very, very thought-provoking. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Parvati Mataji. Thank you, Prabhu, for that wonderful answer. So, devotees, does anybody have any other question or realization?
May I ask Mataji?
Yes.
Okay.
Who is this?
Prabhuji, there is one sampradaya in Gujarat, especially a wealthy sampradaya, which is known as Swaminarayan.
Swaminarayan.
You heard of that?
Yeah, Swaminarayan. I've done a PhD on that.
Oh, really? Wow. So
yeah,
you'll be able to help.
Yeah, I was in Gujarat for so many years, and I know inside out of Swaminarayan.
I see. So somehow by Krishna's arrangement, I'm thickly associated with from my in-laws side. So I was wondering, these people are good. They are in Sattva Gun. I like that. But the only thing which I have found out is that they have put someone else above Lord Krishna.
That's true.
Whether that's
true.
Vishnu.
Actually, it's not like that. You see the point. Their main book is Shiksha Patri.
Yes.
So this Swaminarayan, he wrote this book. It is said that It is said that Swaminarayan, he was from Sri Sampradaya.
I see.
And he actually came from South, and then he came to Gujarat and he started preaching. And he wrote Shiksha Patri. Shiksha Patri, it is very clear. He says that Jiva can never become God.
That's right. When he starts with offering breath, first slok, it says he's glorifying Radha Krishna.
Yeah. So it's there. So what happens is so now there are two divisions of Swaminarayan.
Actually, there are five.
Okay, fine. So most of these, the original Swaminarayan people, the old one, the orthodox people, they put Radha Krishna and on the side Swaminarayan, just like we put Prabhupada.
Right.
Same. That's their standard of worship. They understand. But the modern Swaminarayan people who actually speak about Akshardham and all these things,
right.
They have been contaminated by Mayavad. And they are saying Swaminarayan is Narayan.
Right.
Yeah. So they have deviated from Mayavad. So that's why we don't accept them. In itself, Swaminarayan Sampradaya it seems bona fide, but the present state of it is fully contaminated with Maya. That's how it's happening.
Currently, under BAPS,
I know BAPS.
They have changed the Shiksha Patri itself. All right. And they have removed all this, dedication to Lord Krishna. So I think that this is kind of Mayavad, which is, But my question is, because they utter the name Narayana, will they get any profit out of that? Because
they'll not get, because the conception is a Mayavad conception. I mean, Mayavad is always saying Namo Narayana.
Yeah, that's right. They say
each other. They don't get any benefit. No, the conception is offensive, so it's not a good idea there.
My wife comes from Narayan, Swaminarayan. So when we got married, I said,
so she's not now is ISKCON? She's not in ISKCON?
No, she's now ISKCON. I kicked out every Swaminarayan thing from my house. I said, no, nothing doing Swaminarayan like this. Previously, I was a little bit impressed because of the Siksapatri thing, which is all about Lord Krishna.
See, but one thing, Swaminarayan, but one thing is very good in that. I mean to say it's all, but one thing is very good. They are very strict, like females and males. It's like, and a lot of renunciation.
That's what I say. Sattva Guna. They have got a lot of Sattva Guna.
Yeah, Sattva Guna. Yeah, it's all like that. But anyway, it's okay, fine.
My wife is now, initiated by Radha Govind Swami. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's nice. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for clarifying.
Hare Krishna. For that answer, I think Anu Mataji has raised her hand again. Unmute yourself, Mataji. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the chance. Prabhuji, 2 questions, if I may. Prabhuji, one is when you talk about contemplation, when we read Shastras, actually what we are seeing is the qualities that they want us to have. And the qualities.
Can you please, I mean to say, can you please repeat? Pardon.
Yes. Sorry, Prabhuji. So when we read Shastras, Prabhuji, we are seeing that there are qualities that Krishna wants us to have so that we can progress in bhakti. And when we see ourselves, we do see that there is a huge gap. Huge could be a small word too. There is a monstrous gap between the qualities that we should have versus the qualities that we have today. So there are times where we are trying to inculcate those qualities within us, but there are times we continuously fail. How do we, I'm sure I'll be able to get some advice from you. How do we continue to practice to acquire those qualities? That just say in Bhagavatam, Krishna is saying tolerance, or just remember that everything is happening with Krishna's mercy. You don't need to react back. You don't need to be a god to fix the situation on your own. Things are happening on purpose. But there are times, even though I try to control, just control, hold on. There are times where I can't control. I just let it go. There are times I fail. There are times I pass.
Yeah, I can understand your point. And see, there are 2 things we have to do. To attain good virtues, there are just 2 ways, and both goes together. One is, one thing is you have to attain the good qualities. Another thing is you have to keep them in the times where you're provoked. There are 2 different things.
Yes, that's true.
So first question is how to attain. Another question is how to keep them with us.
Mm-hmm.
So how to attain those qualities? To attain any good quality, we have to keep ourselves in a particular type of situation. Just like have intolerant people around you, you'll never develop tolerance. For developing tolerance, we should have a situation which is intolerable. Otherwise, it's in our head.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why, but of course, you can't make your situation intolerable by yourself. I mean, that's a stupidity. Or if you want to speak truth, if you want to develop a quality of being truthful, then you have to be in a situation where you are surrounded by people who speak lies, but you speak truth. Or a situation where it's all lie. So then you develop these good qualities, because you see, good qualities are like lotus flower, which always breeds in kichad. So that swamp has to be there. If there's no swamp, then there's no lotus flower. So the idea is, pray to Krishna. Krishna. Now this is a this is a dangerous prayer. Before you write it, hear this. So the prayer is, Krishna, please help me to develop good qualities, even if it takes to put me into odd situations. Because only in odd situations you get even numbers. So then Krishna will do something. And he will put you, if you want to develop tolerance, then he might send you some friends who are completely intolerant nature. And then by seeing them, you might say, oh, I should not become like that.
Yes.
So then you improve. Or I mean to say, if suppose we want to leave intoxication, then what happens is, if you see people drinking wine around you, and if you see they're suffering, then you feel, no, I should not. It's all crap. So that's one thing. So you should be ready to be in odd situations. So that's the point. But for that, you don't have to fear. That's one thing. If you fear, then, so that's why it is said to develop good qualities. You don't just need a desire, you need courage. Only courageous people develop good qualities. So we can pray to Krishna. Krishna, please, please. So I'm ready to be in odd situations in order to get good qualities. Please help me. So he will decide how much intensity or how much not intensity. He's a very good leader, and he will help us. Suppose if you want to develop a quality of self-control, so you pray, Krishna, please keep me in odd situation so that I'll learn self-control. So what Krishna might do, he has so many techniques. I don't know what he has, but one thing he might do, he'll start disturbing your mind from within.
Mental concoctions.
Yeah, some kind of concoction, some kind of envy, some kind of things will come, and you might think, my God, what's happening with me? But that's Krishna is doing so that now you have to develop self-control to stop it. So it's almost like if you want to learn boxing, then the coach will say, okay, fight me. And he will fight very hard with you to teach you how to fight. This is the same thing. So that's the prayer first. That is how to attain. So that is why whenever devotee finds himself or herself in odd situations, he's so thankful to Krishna, because he knows Krishna is planning to give you good qualities.
Prabhuji, in my case, I think that's okay. I think that's a problem. Because in my case, I'm going the other way. There are problems, but I'm trying to handle them so that I can understand this is Krishna's mercy. Handle it the way Krishna wants you to handle. But the problem is, I try to be God in those situations, and I try to solve those situations myself.
No, don't solve them. Just accept them and try to develop good qualities using them. If you solve them, then you lose the opportunity to develop good qualities.
Yes.
If there are intolerant situations around you and you adjust this and this, then you're working outside. You're not working inside.
Yes.
So
that's exactly
Krishna
what's happening.
Krishna says, a Vaishnava never justifies, never defends. And he uses those situations to develop good qualities. That's a Vaishnava. And how to keep those qualities, how to carry those qualities in provocative situations, for that we have to chant. Chanting is the only way which will give strength to your soul. Our soul is weak. That's why we are not able. Our spirit is weak, but the flesh is strong, it is said. So that is why if we chant nicely, then we'll be able to maintain these qualities throughout, and that's how we do things.
And one more request. I know you said the YouTube manager is off or something. Pranav Prabhuji and I actually help Madhusevita Prabhuji to upload his recordings on YouTube. If you prefer, we can actually help out too. By the time you need it, we can help you out.
Okay, fine. Do one thing. You send me a mail and I will.
I'll do that. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for that wonderful answer. Do you have time, Prabhu? I have a few questions in the chat box.
Actually,
actually, you know, I have
no time. That's okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Shamaguri Mataji.
thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay.
We can end now, Mataji. We can end the class.
Yes, thank you, dear devotees, for joining. We'll end the call here. Hare Krishna. See you all tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. Vibhyo Namo Namah.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare
Nityananda, Gaur.
Krishna.
Hare Ram.
Hare